राधे गोविन्द गोविन्द राधे
राधे राधे गोविन्द गोविन्द राधे
राधे राधे गोविन्द गोविन्द राधे
राधे राधे गोविन्द गोविन्द राधे
गोविन्द राधे
गोविन्द राधे
गोविन्द राधे
गोविन्द राधे
राधे राधे गोविन्द 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 गोविन्द राधे
गोविन्द राधे
गोविन्द राधे
गोविन्द राधे
गोविन्द राधे
राधे राधे गोविन्द 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 गोविन्द राधे
बोलो श्रीमत युगल सरकार की
जय
Radhe Radhe. Yesterday, I introduced the topic of Roopdhyan to you and told you that it means meditating on the personal form of God. And the first point I made is that Sakar Brahm, the personal form of God, is prime. Some people think God is formless, and sometimes he takes a form and comes in this world. Some people even think he incarnates, which means he takes a material birth, where he enters a material body, where, like us, his body is formed in his mother's womb and born and ages and then dies when he leaves this world. But it's not like that. God's form is also eternal, because there's no difference between God and his body. Natasya karyang karanam cha vidyate. Shvetashvatropanishad tells us, whereas human beings, ordinary souls, have a soul-body duality, God has no such duality. He is his body. It's the opposite of us. When we learn spiritual knowledge, the first thing we are taught is, you are not the body. But God is the opposite. He is his body. You can say his body is his soul is his body. There's no difference. So when we say God is omnipresent, it means his body is omnipresent. When we say God is eternal, it means his body is eternal. So he doesn't sometimes take a body. He always has a body. It's just that that body is invisible to us because we're not qualified to see him right now. We can become qualified. And when he takes avatar, it just means that he makes his omnipresent self visible at one place. It doesn't mean when he appears in this world that he stops being omnipresent. Sometimes we even say, oh, he came from his divine world on this earth, and then he went back. We just say that because that's how we think. It's a nice way to think of it. Shri Krishna came and visited our earth planet. He wasn't here before. He came specially to visit us, and then he went back. But that's not correct. He's already here. He always has been here. He always will be here. He's omnipresent. The reason I'm telling you this is that there's a big misconception in people's minds that this form of God is either thought up by people, or if it's real, then it's secondary to the Nirakar aspect. It's secondary to formless God, or comes from formless God. But it's the exact opposite. Shri Krishna says, Brahmano hi pratisthaham, Gita. Brahm, formless God, is established in me. I am the pratishtha of this formless aspect of God, impersonal God, you could say. It's like, what is main, the sun or the sunlight? Sunlight for us is formless, right? And the sun has an actual form. Does the sun come from the sunlight, or meaning, is the sun dependent on the sunlight? No, the light emanates from the sun. Something like that. God in his personal form is prime, and formless God is the effulgence, the light of Shri Krishna's body. It's another way to think of it. But both are eternal. Shri Krishna eternally exists as himself and as formless God. Eternally, both. He eternally exists as himself and in all the other forms as well. It's not just that Shri Krishna is omnipresent. The same Shri Krishna is omnipresent as Ram. That's why Ram Bhakt Tulsidas, after doing devotion and surrendering, who did he see everywhere he looked? Ram, 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 Ram. But who did the gopis see? Let's say Mirabai, who was a descended gopi, who came to show the world devotion, let's say Mirabai and Tulsidas are side by side, because they lived at the same time. Mira is saying, my Gopal is everywhere. Everywhere I look, I see my beloved Giridhar Gopal. And Tulsidas is saying, everywhere I look, I see Ram. And if there's a Shiv Bhakt, he's saying, everywhere I see Shiva. And a Mataji Bhakt, everywhere I look, Durga, Durga, Durga. Who's correct? All of them. Because God is omnipresent in all of his uncountable forms. That's why. No matter who you worship, it's the same Shri Krishna, it's the same God, but he'll come to you, he'll appear to you in the form you want. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tas tathaiva bhajamyaham. However you surrender to me, I'll come to you in that form. However you think of me, I'll come to you in that form. He has no preference. That's why everyone in the world is worshiping the same God. They may call him by different names and describe him differently. It's the same God. So in all of his forms, as well as his formless aspect, he's omnipresent. One of the main differences between Sakar Brahm, Ram, Krishna, Shiva, Ityadi, and Nirakar Brahm, formless God, is that Nirakar Brahm is akarta. Nirakar Brahm kuch nahi karta hai. All of his powers are dormant. So it means Nirakar Brahm doesn't grace. Nirakar Brahm kripa bhi nahi karta. Kaise karega? Malum bhi nahi hoga ki ye jeev sharanagat ho gaya hai. How will Nirakar Brahm know? Nirakar Brahm is like a sleeping person. When you sleep, maybe you have a 180 IQ, but when you're sleeping, can we say that you're intelligent? You're not showing your intelligence. You're not using your intelligence. Your intelligence is dormant when you're sleeping. You may be an Olympic weightlifter or wrestler, but when you're sleeping, can we say you're strong? No, your strength is dormant. It's not manifested. Similarly, in Nirakar Brahm, all of God's guna, shakti, everything, dormant, like a sleeping person. Na kuch sunta hai, na dekhta hai, na sochta hai, na samajhta hai, na janta hai, nothing. Nirakar Brahm wouldn't even hear you if you called to him. All of his activities are frozen. But the same Nirakar Brahm is Shri Krishna. So in Shri Krishna or any of the personal forms of God, all of those characteristics, qualities, powers, they're active. In some forms of God, some are active and others not. In Shri Krishna, all the powers and qualities and everything is fully manifested. That's why he's called Purnatam Purushottam Brahm, or Purnavatar. Sometimes people get confused about that too. Oh, Shri Krishna is Purnavatar. It must mean other forms are 50% avatar. He's Purnatam Purushottam Brahm, so other forms might be 75% Brahm or 25% Brahm. Oh, all are 100% one and the same. Internally, one and the same. Then why is he called Purn? Because all those inner powers, unka purna roop se vikas ho raha hai. They're revealed in full. Let's say you are a university professor who teaches English literature, and at home you have a 6-year-old child, and you're teaching your 6-year-old child how to spell very simple words and how to read. Now, if someone saw you doing that and they said, oh, I guess that's the full extent of his knowledge. See what he's teaching his 6-year-old son? He only knows how to spell dog, D-O-G. I thought he's an English professor. He would know how to spell really big words. But he's teaching him 3-letter words. And when you go to your class in the university, maybe you have an undergraduate class, a postgraduate class, maybe you have some doctorate students. So depending on the level required, you use your power as required. So depending on what God is coming here on earth to do, what he's trying to accomplish, he takes different forms, reveals himself in different forms in which certain powers are manifested, and some powers may not be manifested, but they're all there. So Vishnu is also Purna Brahm. Shiva is also Purna Brahm. Everyone is Purna. They're all one and the same. But in Shri Krishna only is the complete outward manifestation seen. That's the reason we call him Purna. Internally, they're one and the same. Just like you at home teaching your son, you at home teaching your graduate class. You are one and the same. You might dress differently at home, behave differently, dress differently in the university and behave differently, but it's still you. So in the various forms, Shri Krishna looks different and behaves differently, but he's still the same. So when we do Roopdhyan, we choose a specific form of God to worship and meditate upon. This form of God is not our imagination, although we use our imagination. God is real, and God is here. So we're actually using our imagination and our faith to join our mind with God. That's Roopdhyan. The faith comes in because we have to think. No, he really is here. You really have to think, this is not my imagination, this is really him. So you use both your imagination and your faith, and that creates a connection with God. And since God is not by nature gracious, He graces you. Because we're worshipping Sakar Brahm. So He can grace. Nirakar Brahm won't even know you're meditating on Him. How is He going to grace you? He doesn't know anything, doesn't do anything. Shri Krishna will know if you're thinking of Him. So when we do Roopdhyan of Bhagwan in His personal form, He immediately graces us. He's always looking to grace us. Today, I'm going to lead you in a meditation similar to what we did yesterday, but on another form of Shri Krishna. Here in Yugal Kunj, we have two forms of Shri Krishna side by side. One we call Krishna, one we call Radha. Shyam and Shyama. Priya and Priyatam. Radha is none other than Shri Krishna. Yeyam Radha Yascha Krishna. Rasabdhir dehe naikah kridanartham dvidha bhoot. There is an Upanishad just for Radharani. Radhika Upanishad. It tells us that whatever is Radha, the same as Krishna. Whatever is Krishna, the same as Radha. They're actually one, but they became two, or they took two forms. Krida Artham, to play, to do leelas. Just Shri Krishna or just Shri Radha? Okay, they can do something, but both Radha Krishna? Now we can have lots of interesting leelas. And it's Shri Krishna's intention to provide us with these leelas so that we have material, devotional material that will attract our mind. You probably have a favorite TV show, a serial, and in that serial you have your favorite characters. And when you watch it, you learn about their personality, right? How are they? This one is like this one is like that. You get to know them by watching the daily or the weekly show. So that's material, right? That material in the form of that video you're watching that attracts your mind. And you engross your mind in thinking of these characters. So Shri Krishna says, I have to compete with that. You have one mind. With the same mind, you can either engross yourself in thoughts of the world, or you can engross yourself in thinking of Shri Krishna. So he says, look what I'm competing against. There's all these TV shows and movies. I have to also provide some material to attract the minds of the souls. So I'll become two, me and Radha, and now we'll do some leelas. Of course, he never decided that. He eternally exists as Radha and as Krishna. Or you can say Radha exists as Radha and as Krishna, however you want to think of it. It's their unlimited grace upon the souls that they exist in these forms in order to perform leelas and reveal their personality to us so we can be attracted to them. We can easily engage our mind in thinking of them. So I'll invite you to close your eyes. Today I'm going to describe for you the form of Radharani. Remember, she is Shri Krishna. Yesterday I described Krishna for you. So see Shri Krishna standing in front of you, and as you're looking upon him, see that out of his body gradually is emerging Radha. So that you see at first both together, one inside the other. And slowly Radharani is coming out of the body of Shri Krishna. And they're slowly separating side by side until now Radha is standing and Krishna is standing, and they're side by side together. Whereas Shri Krishna is dark complexioned and he has blue, a divine bluish glow to his complexion, Radha is very fair. Her complexion has been described to be glowing like the moon, like the full moon, that soft, beautiful, fair glow of the moon. This is how Radha's face and body glow. And whereas Shri Krishna's complexion is blue with a pinkish glow to it, Radharani's has a golden hue. She's very fair, but she has a golden hue to her complexion, just a hint of gold. Her face is very fascinating and attractive. She has very innocent eyes, large eyes, shaped beautifully like lotus petals going out, narrowing towards the side of her face. The center is very dark, and around the eyes is a natural black line outlining the eyes by her long black eyelashes. And her eyebrows are also perfectly shaped, a nice gentle arc, beautifully framing her eyes. And with her eyes, she's just looking towards you so innocently. With a very mild smile on her red lips. And on one side of her chin, she has just a small black beauty spot. Her long hair has been beautifully braided and decorated by the gopis. As they braid Radharani's hair, they insert sweet-smelling flowers, small flowers, into each plait. And they also apply some very beautiful fragrance, some perfumed oils to Radha's hair. Her braid goes all the way down past her waist, past her knees. And it's dark, deep, shiny black. In front of her face, a few of her beautiful black locks escape the braid and just fall gently in front of her face. Her crown is a little different than Shri Krishna's. The main part of her crown has the paisley shape, kind of like a teardrop where the top is slanting to one side. And of course it's beautiful, golden, shining, and embedded with multicolored divine jewels, which captivate our heart. We just want to keep looking at Radha's ornaments. She also wears the large ear pendants which hang down next to her cheeks. And those ear pendants, which are golden and bejeweled, they also move slightly whenever she moves her head, and they reflect the glow of her face. So her face also catches the glow of the ear pendant, so that on her cheek there's mixed with her own fair golden glow, there's some of the color from her ear pendants and the various jewels embedded in them. Radha wears many different kinds of necklaces, like different lengths of pearl necklaces, golden necklaces, flower malas, flower garlands. And covering her body is a beautiful silken, soft blue sari. And a pinkish or purplish blouse.